What's up? My name is Samuel Perez. So I wanted to come on here on my YouTube channel. This is the United 12 YouTube channel, and I just wanted to take a moment to just share my testimony. I've been putting this off for such a long time because it's very hard for me sometimes to talk about my testimony and talk about the things that I've been through as a person, because my life feels like it's been a roller coaster. Like, it's just been up and down and gone so many different places and towns and cities and people. And so I sometimes don't even know how to articulate it very well. But I'm going to try to do my best. And I'm going to try to fill you guys in on what Jesus has done for me in my life. Basically, it all started when I was born. My parents were Christian parents. And so I was always a Christian. They brought me up Christian. They told me what was right and what was wrong. And we didn't have much. We grew up kind of poor. My parents, they migrated here from Cuba. And from Cuba, they decided to go to Venezuela. And then from Venezuela, they came to Miami. And so when they got to Miami, they didn't have a college education. They didn't have a degree. And they did the best they could to provide for their family. But later on in the years to come, they did get an education, and then they were able to provide for us a little bit more. So I always grew up with a fear of money, and that developed insecurities within me. And also, I'm sure my brothers and sister. I am the youngest. I have an older brother and an older sister. And so I knew that I was always different. Like, from the start, I knew that I was different in the way that I was not like other boys, and that I thought differently than other boys did. I like to sing. I like to act. I came out of the womb and I was singing for God. Like, I remember my mom used to play these VHS DVDs, and basically I would just they were like songs about God. And I would just spend my whole day singing these songs about God. And I remember one of them was like shining a light in the darkness, or something to that extent, in Spanish, because I speak a little Spanish. And then I also sang about how God would hold the world in his hands. And so this is what I did when I was younger and when I was a kid. And I felt like maybe that's why God had me in his eyes this whole time in my life. And he never separated from me, because ever since I was a little boy, I was taught to glorify God and to worship him. And that's what I did. But, life happens. So skipping over to middle school. Middle school is kind of like when I woke up from everything. Like, middle school is when I was like experiencing all of these things that I never experienced before. So basically, I since I grew up Christian, my parents were very, very religious. They didn't let us watch Barney. They didn't let us watch The Simpsons. They didn't let us do anything fun. Like, it was just God, church all the time, which is a good thing, looking at it retrospectively. But at the same time, I was not exposed to anything worldly. So when I got to middle school, that's when I became kind of exposed to everything. I remember listening to Pink for the first time, and I loved her song, the one that it was about girls, stupid girls, and I remember experiencing all these different things. And so I got to middle school, and I was like a kind of a person who didn't even really know himself well. I didn't really have much of an identity to begin with. I was just like, I am Samuel, and I like to sing, and I don't really even know, like, I knew God, but I was just like not secure in it enough. So I also had my own insecurities. I never really felt like I really belonged well to other boys my age. Like, I was never getting along well with them. And so it was very hard for me to even make relationships with other boys. So when a boy showed interest in me, things started to change a lot. So in middle school, I had a best friend, and he was a guy, and we just organically became friends. And it was the first guy friend that I had ever had. I never had a guy friend who I could talk to about my day, or tell him how I feel, or the music that I like. And this boy, I talked to him about everything, and we talked about his likes, I talked about my likes, and I became so invested in this relationship. And I started to feel like these feelings that I'd never, ever felt before. I started to feel like, number one, intense, like, kind of like obsession for him. Like, every time I would get a text message, I would run to my phone, I would pick up my phone, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, a text message from my best friend, and like I would respond almost immediately, and then, you know, different things, stuff like that. It was all these feelings I had never had before: extreme happiness, extreme sadness when I would be ignored by him, or just feeling lonely. All these, it opened up a whole world that I never ever had stepped into before. So I remember even asking myself like the question, like, am I gay? Like I remember like going in the shower, and I was always made fun of in school, like bullied for being different. So they used to always call me gay in school. They used to always call me feminine. I used to move my hands like this, and people would make fun of me. And so I remember asking myself the questions in the shower, like contemplating. I was like, am I gay? Like, do I like this boy? Is this like my identity? Is this who I am now? And so I had another best friend at the time, and she was a lesbian, and she basically convinced me to come out to my parents. She was like, oh, I'm gonna come out to my parents, and so you should come out to your parents and we can do it together. So I went home, and I was so scared. I had never told anyone this before. Like, I had never even just like talked about this. Like, it had been in my mind for such a long time. I remember thinking like, I can never get drunk, because if I get drunk, it's gonna come spilling out and people are gonna know my secret. And I remember just having so much pressure on me, and even thinking about it now makes me emotional, because it was a lot for me to handle as a kid, not being able to talk to anyone about these types of feelings, and just feeling like you were going to be judged, or I was going to be hated, or my parents were going to just disown me. And so I took a step forward, and I remember telling my mom, I was like, Mom, I have something to tell you. And as soon as I said that to her, it was like I had to do it. Like I had to do it. So I told her, I was like, Mom, remember how you told me that you loved me? She was like, yes. And I was like, well, would you still love me if I like men? Like, would you still love me if I was gay? And then she's like, of course I will love you, you know, but she's like, are you gay? And I was like, yeah, I have feelings for my best friend, and I think that I'm in love with him, and I think that I'm gay. And so, and she was like, okay, well, you have basically two options. She's like, you can do what the Bible says to do, which is just to accept the love of Christ into your life and try to live life away from that lifestyle, which is, try to not be gay, basically. And then, or you can be gay, live your life for yourself, and then at the end, when you die, just know that you're probably going to go to hell. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to go to hell. Like, that's not something that, like, I don't want to spend the rest of eternity in hell. And to me, it was very real. Like, hell was very real. But at the same time, I didn't know how to fight my own feelings. I didn't know what I was feeling. And I couldn't control it either. Like, I didn't want to like men. I just liked men, So I was like, obviously, I don't want to go to hell. So I told my mom, I was like, the second one, like, I want to get better. Like, I don't want to go to hell. So I always had the fear of the Lord on me. And so skipping forward, she sent me to like these ex-gay camps, and I remember just thinking it was so much BS, and I was like, these people are just like not accepting who they are. And I was trying to come to terms with myself, and the world was telling me like, things are gonna get better, like you're gonna get better, like accept yourself for who you are, love yourself. And I was like, okay, well, maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to love myself. Maybe I need to accept the fact that I'm gay, and this is the way that it is, and I'm never going to be able to change, and I will always like men, and that's just it. And God loves me regardless, and whatever. So that's what I decided to do. Skipping forward a couple of years, I went into high school, and during my high school years, I became homeschooled. Now, this was the worst decision that I think I could have possibly ever made in my life, and I laugh about it now, but it destroyed me. I was, number one, separated from all of my friends in school. They did not keep contact with me. And number two, I became heavily addicted to my computer. I'm talking about, I became the biggest nerd ever. And like nerd in the sense of like, not bad, but like nerd as in like, I lived my life on a video game online, and I used to like to go on virtual realities and pretend to be somebody who I wasn't in real life, which was because ultimately I guess I was insecure with myself, so I wanted to be everything that I wasn't on this video game. And so I got addicted to this video game, and I was playing this virtual reality game for years. And I remember just locking myself up in my room and just feeling sad super depressed. I remember crying every single day. I remember not feeling loved. And by the way, in middle school, when I came out to my parents and I told my best friend about my coming out and that I liked him, he immediately rejected me. So that also started like a rejection from men in my life that I carried on with me to high school and for the rest of my life, basically. He rejected me, and that started a deep depression in my life. And so then I'm homeschooled, and I'm even more depressed because I have nobody to talk to. I didn't even have anybody to go to the movies with. So if I wanted to go to the movies, I had to go alone. I remember I had a car and I didn't even use it. And so from there, I decided that I was going to be an actor because I started college, and I was like, okay, well, maybe like I can find my purpose in acting. And, you know, I've always wanted to act. I've always wanted to sing, and maybe like this is what, like, I can be famous and like I can find fulfillment in this. So I went to an acting school, and after 2 years, I remember thinking that it just wasn't for me. But during the time of the acting school, I did something that I never did before. I was always talking to guys online, but I never did anything sexual with men. And so during my freshman year in high school, I remember that I had an app, which I was addicted to as well, because I was addicted to pretty much everything online. And I was addicted to this app where you could go on the app and find men in your area, and so that's what I would do. I would find men in my area and I would talk to them and then maybe meet up with them. So I met up with this one boy, and I remember talking to so many guys because I was just like so desperate for somebody to love me. And I remember talking to this boy, and we met up, and I remember it was our first date, and we went to go eat at Hooters or something, I don't even remember. And I remember just being in the car alone with him and thinking to myself, like, I'm finally 18, like maybe this is time for me to, you know, finally have sex with a man. Like, I wanted to wait personally until I found someone that I loved, but every time that I would get close to a man, like, he would just like either disappear or I would do something wrong and be too clingy or something like that to that aspect. So I remember he presented the idea to me, and he was like, oh, would you like to, you know, have sex? And I was like, okay, well, only if you promise me that you won't leave me afterward. And he was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna leave you. And I was like, okay, cool. So we did it, and we had sex. Literally the next day, he left me. And not only that, but I got extremely sick. I got something called tonsillitis, and I got so sick that I had 102-degree fever. And I remember just feeling so broken and devastated over this situation. I was sick, number one, so I felt horrible, and number two, I was brokenhearted because he literally left me, the one thing that I told him, and I was so insecure about that I didn't want to be left if I was going to have sex with him, because I wanted to fall in love and to have that perfect happy lifestyle that I saw on television. What the world would tell me, that like, you're gonna find someone who loves you and they're gonna fill you up and you're gonna have fulfillment towards them, or whatever the case may be, and grow into yourself or whatever. So moving on, I fell into a crazy deep depression, and just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and things were not getting any better. So I left acting school, decided that it wasn't for me after 2 years, and then I didn't even really know who I was anymore. Like, that was the first point in my life where I was completely just lost. Like, I had no relationship, I had no aspirations. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know, like, if I even liked acting, singing, if I wanted to do that. So I got a job working at Metro PCS, and I was working there for about 6 months when I decided that I was gonna get my act together and that I was gonna start working out and like try to find fulfillment in that. So this is my life. This is my crazy life. And so I decided to start working out, and then I found a passion in working out. So I was like, okay, maybe I should be a personal trainer, because I had a personal trainer. So I became a personal trainer. Once I became a personal trainer, I always had it in the back of my head that I wanted to leave my parents' house, because I never felt as though they accepted me for who I was. Even though they were not bad parents, they were always like, oh, when are you gonna get a girlfriend? Or when are you gonna do this? Or like, you know, never really accepting the fact that, like, I was like, I'm gay, mom and dad, like, this is not a phase, like, this is who I am. And like, that's how I would talk to them. And I was extremely rebellious towards them. I was doing things that I should not have been doing under their household. And so I wanted to leave. So I was like, I presented the idea to my parents, and I was like, mom and dad, I'm going to New York. And so I moved away to New York with their help because they were just so gracious towards me and such amazing, loving parents. And they helped me to move to New York, even though they knew it wasn't the best thing for me. But they knew that I had to make my own decisions. And so I moved to New York. When I got to New York, I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any friends. I was completely on my own, but I was happy because I was like, I'm in New York. I'm in the city of dreams. Like, I can do acting again if I want to do acting, and I'm going to be a personal trainer and make a bunch of money. I was not making a lot of money as a personal trainer, and my rent was so high, and my mom was helping me pay for it, but I was feeling guilty. And I also, like, I remember the first week, I didn't even eat anything the whole first week that I was there because I just didn't have any money. Like, it was ridiculous. So I started training this guy, and he was a drag queen. And I was kind of involved in the queer community in Brooklyn. And he suggested the idea that I should go-go dance. And I was like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to do that. Like, I've always wanted to, like, be a stripper and, like, entertain people, you know, like, it's a fun idea. Like, I've seen that on TV, and it's so fun. Like, celebrities have done it, and they became famous. So, like, I'm gonna do it. And so I started doing go-go dancing. To my surprise, I got very popular doing go-go dancing in New York City. Like, I was going to all the gay bars. I was getting booked every single weekend, almost every single night. And during the day, I was working as a personal trainer. So I was a personal trainer at the day, and then I was a go-go dancer, stripper, basically, at night. And it got to the point where I was doing things that I never expected to do. I remember one time I was offered with the idea, I was offered the event that I should do an all-nude party. And they were like, oh, you're going to make so much money. And, like, I was like, I don't want to do this, but at the same time, like, I need the money. And also, like, I was like, you know what? I'm open to the experience. Whatever. That's how I always thought about things. I was like, I'm always open to the experience. So I did the all-nude party. And I remember the next morning, I was just so broken. I was crying on my bicycle to work, and I was crying so much that I was like, I can't believe that I did that. I can't believe that I exposed myself. There were people who were having sex there in front of everyone. It was basically like a sex party, and they were having sex in front of me, and people were asking if they wanted to, you know, do sexual acts with me for money. And I even accepted some of those requests, and I was just so broken. I didn't know who I was. And during the time, I was also having my fun. Like, I was fun. I was having sex with so many men. Like, every single guy that I would meet on an application or in person and go on a date with, I was having sex with. Because I was like, if I have sex with them, then they're going to realize I'm a good person, and they're going to love me, and I'm going to be in a relationship with them. And so I didn't have sex with them because I was like, oh, I want to have sex with them because, like, I enjoy sex. It was more like, I want to have sex with them so that I can get in a relationship and I can finally be loved. And so there's a big difference. And so I didn't even know who I was anymore. And I was in New York, and I was like, I have to get out. Like, I have to leave this. Like, I can't do this anymore. And so I ended up stopping stripping, and I ended up applying for a job on a cruise ship. And I didn't even want to live in New York anymore. Like, I was tainted. Like, I was like, I don't want to live here anymore. And so I applied for a job on a cruise ship, and I got the job on the cruise ship. And I'm explaining to you guys right now in a very, like, lighthearted way, but let me tell you, this was very serious. I was crying every single night. I was contemplating suicide. I was extremely depressed. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what was the meaning of life. And throughout all of this time, like, my relationship with God was just, like, lingering. Like, it was something that I was like, I know I'm a Christian, I believe in God, but at the same time, like, I can't fight these temptations. I don't even know who I am. And I wasn't even really looking to God for help. Like, the most that I would do is, like, pray every single night. I'd be like, God, I love you, and, like, protect me, and, you know, the basic Christian that we see nowadays. Like, not a radical Christian. I would even go to church. I remember going to Hillsong and feeling so accepted, and, you know, never feeling even, like, convicted. So I, from that point on, went back to Miami to get my new job on the cruise ship. I spent some months back in Miami, and then I left to Australia on the cruise ship. I wanted it to work out so bad because I left my life in New York, and let me tell you, it's very hard to pick up everything that you own and then move your life to another state. It's extremely hard. I don't know if anyone watching this video has ever been through that, but to pick up your entire life, move to another state, and then have it all come crumbling down, not working out. Like, you think you're gonna get a relationship, you think you're gonna be happy, you think you're gonna get the career of your dreams, and then none of that works out, and then you have to go back home and then try another job. So I was trying another job, and I was like, man, I hope that this job works out. I hope that I'm gonna love this job, that I'm gonna love everything about it, that I'm gonna find a relationship. I hope that my roommate is gay so that I can feel accepted and maybe have a relationship with my roommate and this and that. But God knew exactly what he was doing. God knew that, like, he wasn't gonna let any of those things come to pass, and I'm so happy that he didn't, because I would have gotten more and more lost into just a deeper and deeper hole of Satan's lies. And God always had his hand on me, even though I didn't deserve it, even though the mercy like that he showed me, I did not deserve it at all. And so because of all the sinful things that I had been doing and against him. And so I was on the cruise ship, and I ended up hating the job. I ended up hating my coworkers. I loved my roommate, but he wasn't gay, and there was no other gay people on the ship. Basically, I was like the only American on the ship, and if there was a gay person on the ship, they were taken. So I couldn't find a relationship. I hated my job, and I hated myself still. So I ended up quitting after 2 months. When I went back to Miami, I decided that I would like start a business and like start fresh. But honestly, I was just so broken. I was so tired. I remember going into my room, and I remember lying in bed and thinking to myself, like, is this life? Like, is this all that I have? Is this all that life has to offer to me? I remember lying in bed and just being like, I'm tired. I don't want to go through this anymore. I'm tired. I don't want to go through this anymore. I don't want to keep looking for relationships anymore. I don't want to keep finding jobs and then having to quit. I don't want to move. I don't want to do anything. Like, all I wanted to do was just go to sleep and never wake up again. I was so broken on the inside. I can't even begin to describe this to you guys. And it was just all of the years, just everything that I had been through, just all the ups and downs, all the way that people used to abuse me, all the way that I gave myself freely to people, and just the lies of the devil just in my head, just like, you're nothing, you mean nothing, all that you have nothing to offer. And in that moment, I was like, you know what, I just want to go to sleep, and I never want to wake up again. And I remember doing a prayer, and I told God, I said, God, if you're real, and if you exist, and if Jesus really truly loves me. And I remember my mom telling me that the spiritual world is much more real than the natural world. And she told me that as a kid. And so I was like, okay, if you're real and the spiritual world is what it is, and I'm in the natural world, then maybe God can't get to me. Maybe I've built up so much sin around me that, like, God is trying to get a message to me, and he can't even get a message to me because I'm so, like, dirty. I'm so, like, I've built up so much things around me that he literally cannot come and find me. Even though God is glorious and he and all that, I was just like, this was my thinking. So I decided that I would turn on a Christian radio, and I said, God, I can't pray, I can't sing, I can't do anything. All of my ambition, everything inside of me had left. Like, I was like, I don't even want to see what tomorrow brings me. I don't want to know what tomorrow brings me. And so I was like, if you're real, I was like, this is all that I can do. I could just lay here and hope that things are going to get better, and that you can reveal yourself to me, because if you don't, I'm going to commit suicide. Like, that's it. I was ready to take my life the next day, because I just felt horrible. I didn't want to, even looking back, I still feel that way. I didn't want to feel it anymore. So overwhelmed and so depressed. And so the next morning, I went to sleep with the music on. The next morning, God did something in my life that I never thought that he would do. God showed me how much he cared for me, and how much he had been walking alongside of me through my entire life. And even though, like, I had done him wrong in so many different situations, he was still like, I love you. You're still my son. I don't love the sin, but I love you. And when I woke up that morning, I felt his love. I remember waking up like completely rebuilt again, completely like happy again. Like for the first time, like in a very long time, I felt like, man, I can take on life again. Like I want to see what tomorrow brings. And I remember dropping down to my knees and praying to God, and I said, God, I was like, from this moment on, I'm going to dedicate my life to you, and everything that I do is going to be for you. I no longer want to live for myself. I no longer have an interest for living for myself, for becoming famous, for doing acting, for whatever the case may be. The